You're watching Maryland's first television station. Now, WMAR-2 News at 7.
Thanks for joining us at 7 tonight. I'm Kelly Swoop. Tonight we're learning that dive teams have found 2 bodies submerged in a truck in the Patapsco River. The 2 were working on the Key Bridge early Tuesday morning when a cargo ship slammed into it, causing it to fall into the river. Now, according to state police, the 2 are 35-year-old Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes from Baltimore and 26-year-old Dorlian Ronil Castilla Cabrera from Dundalk. Mr. Hernandez was originally from Mexico and Castilla originally from Guatemala, but had lived in Maryland for years. Crews now are moving from a recovery mission to a salvage mission because state police say they believe the remaining victims are sadly encased in the bridge debris, and that makes the recovery too dangerous. Governor Moore says the priority now is to get the harbor open and has reached out to the Biden-Harris administration for emergency relief funding. He also thanked people from around the state and the country and the world for their outpouring of support and prayers.
So the thing we know is this. I do not know at this point what the total costs are going to be. I do not yet know what the full timeline is going to be. But the thing that I do know is that the task in front of us, it will be real, it will be daunting. But despite this task ahead of us being daunting, I can tell you right now, our resolve is unshaken.
Moore also said we will leave no one behind and we will have to support the 8,000 dock workers who may be out of work as long as that shipping lane remains closed. And we also have names of 2 of the other victims from that bridge collapse. The nonprofit group CASA, which advocates for Latino immigrants, said that 2 of the missing construction workers were CASA members. They are Miguel Luna, who was 40 years old, and Minor Suazo Sandoval, who would have turned 35 next month. Miguel came to the U.S. from El Salvador more than 19 years ago and has 3 children. Minor came from Honduras more than 17 years ago and was living in Owings Mills and has 2 children.
The bridge has a great historic significance. It's the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner. These immigrants were entrusted with maintaining and repairing it.
The bodies of those 2 men have not yet been found. WMAR-2 News' Jack Watson is at the Fort Smallwood Park in Pasadena. Jack, you had an opportunity to speak to the mayor today. This is a very, very difficult time for him, as you could tell from his comments earlier today. What did the mayor have to say?
Absolutely. I spoke with the mayor earlier this afternoon and just a few moments ago spoke with some folks walking around in the park here in Pasadena this afternoon. Somebody just walked by a couple of minutes ago before we went live and said, this just brings you to tears. You can see the remains of the bridge a little clearer now than we could about 20 minutes ago. The fog is slowly clearing here, but the first responders out there have dealt with the bad weather all day. And Mayor Scott tells me he went out there on a Coast Guard vessel in the pouring rain today around 10:30 in the morning and saw the devastation up close. He did that with the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County executives. He says every level of government has touched base with the families, and contacting them isn't just about today, it's about the weeks, the months, the years ahead. When the cameras are gone and some have moved forward, the mayor says local government will be there for them, whether it's help finding work or simply talking. Now, to the broader community here, the mayor says, folks, this is going to mean an increase in traffic. He's asking folks to be patient, maybe leave a little early or change your schedule to alleviate the traffic burden. The mayor took me through what it was like to be out there on the water today.
Seeing the devastation that close up just made it even more real. You can see it was really heart-wrenching to see. But we also saw while we were out there in the pouring rain, our divers, our workers out there trying to recover the bodies of the folks that we lost.
Back live here with a look at the water, it's still surreal that this part of our home is no longer here. The mayor says they're going to be here for the long haul, saying we will recover. Again, in his words, we will be Baltimore strong. For now, we are live in Pasadena. Jack Watson, WMAR-2 News.
All right, Jack, thanks a lot for that report. Lawmakers right now are drafting emergency legislation to assist workers negatively impacted by the Key Bridge collapse. The estimate for lawmakers is 15,000 to 20,000 workers could be impacted. WMAR-2 News' Jeff Morgan has more on what we need to know in the bill that's going forward.
Representatives from downtown Baltimore are working quickly to come to the aid of thousands of workers impacted by the Key Bridge collapse.
Both the public port and the private port, the door is locked.
Senate President Bill Ferguson says a trucking company reached out to him, worried about what will happen.
He was concerned about leaving his office because he just didn't even know how to face his employees and what would happen to them because their business is totally shut down and stopped.
The port is vital to Baltimore's economy. Estimates from the White House say the port handles about $100 million in cargo every day. There's concern some of this cargo heads elsewhere and stays there even after the port is reopened.
Because we have uncertainty for when the channel will be reopened, we don't want to lose business to other ports permanently.
There is the possibility that Trade Point Atlantic offloads some of the ships heading to Baltimore. Unfortunately, it's not equipped to handle deep water vessels.
They don't have deep port, which is the biggest concern. Deep port is what we have that no one else has.
The money for the bill would come out of the state's rainy day fund. So far, the total amount of money being approved hasn't been decided.
This is an extraordinary event, one that no one ever could have dreamed of. I saw a once-in-a-million event. We're going to do the absolute best that we can to provide the resources to weather this storm and build back stronger.
The bill is expected to be introduced by the end of this week. In Annapolis, Jeff Morgan, WMAR 2 News.
And not ideal weather today for those divers. They actually suspended everything at 4 o'clock today because you got to measure the wind, the cold, so many other things, and the danger, everything that's encased in them.
You saw Jack's live shot there too, the visibility problems.
You can barely see the bridge, or what's left of the bridge, rather.
Aircraft having problems getting through that. Rain's wrapping up, which helps. Obviously, they suspended operations for now, but think in the next couple of days, we got another round of showers on the way, Kelly. Winds are going to get a little bit stronger too. So unfortunately, we're sticking with this system for now. That's why we start here with radar. The light showers have pushed off to the eastern shore. Still some mist and drizzle, fog hanging around through parts of the Baltimore metro area. But a break from the steady rain that we've had pretty much all morning into early afternoon, light to moderate showers. That's going to fill back in tonight and then ultimately tomorrow. So here's a look at visibility. And as Jack mentioned, Inner Harbor's numbers coming higher. That's our closest reporting station where he is up to 5 miles now. 10 is the standard. That's where we want to get to, just not quite there. And then a little bit lower in Elkton and Bel Air. Water temperature still in the mid-40s. Challenge for the divers, obviously. The overnight hours readings in the mid-40s. Scattered showers. We'll stick with the rain tonight. That'll spill over into tomorrow. Not done with this system just yet, Kelly.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. The bridge collapse having a tremendous impact on so many parts of our lives, even traffic as well. Commuters are going to be drastically impacted because especially those trucks transporting hazardous materials. WMAR-2 News' Xavier Wary learned more about some of the alternate routes they'll be taking in the foreseeable future.
Taken one of the most vital routes away through this, tragedy, and that is going to certainly impact local traffic in a meaningful way.
Louis Campion, president of Maryland Motor Truck Association, says between 1.3 and 1.5 million trucks cross the Francis Scott Key Bridge yearly. A once reliable mode of transportation tragically gone, forcing vehicles like hazmat trucks, which are prohibited to use the tunnel, to find an alternative route in Baltimore.
The less attractive option is I-83, but you do have to go through Baltimore City and various downtown routes, which can be very congested.
He says the ideal route is the western side of 695.
If you're delivering over to the eastern side, it will add significant mileage for you. It will add time in terms of drivers' need to make a delivery.
In addition to longer commute times, Campion says the bridge collapse disrupts the economic activity.
The port really touches everyone in Maryland's lives, right? As so many commodities come in and out, it's an employer of 20,000 direct people and then thousands and thousands of more indirect jobs like trucking, who really rely on the port for our survival.
Campion says it'll take a cooperative effort to get waterways clear as rapidly as possible. He says later this week the engineers are expected to be on site of the crash and assess the work needed to provide assistance with regards to clearance of the debris. He expects this to impact drivers for years to come. Xavier Wary, WMAR 2 News.
Now, we have been looking into the history of the Dali, that is the cargo ship that collided with the Key Bridge yesterday morning. The vessel, huge, spans 985 feet, around the size of a Navy aircraft carrier, and it was actually carrying 4,700 containers. We've learned the Singapore-flagged vessel was built in 2015 and is managed by the Synergy Marine Group. This means that the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, or MPA, is in charge of monitoring the vessel's compliance with regulations. According to the MPA, the Dali lost propulsion and dropped its anchors right before it collided with the bridge. Its certificates covering structural integrity were valid at the time of the incident and passed 2 separate port inspections in 2023. Most recently in September by the Coast Guard in New York. Last June, inspectors in Chile detected a faulty monitor gauge for fuel pressure that was fixed before the vessel departed the port. And back in 2016, the Dali's hull was damaged after it crashed while leaving a port in Belgium. The MPA announced it's sending a team to Baltimore to assist investigators. Currently, the vessel is holding its position at the site of the collision. The bow is sitting on the bottom of the Patapsco River due to the weight of the bridge debris. The Coast Guard and Army Corps of Engineers are working to refloat the vessel and remove it from the area. The AP reports the pilot of the cargo ship lost propulsion when the vessel's power went out, trying to use the rudder and anchor to avoid the collision. As Scripps News national correspondent Vanessa Masanya tells us, the catastrophe has a focus on the people who pilot ships in ports, a job that is really little known outside of the shipping world.
You see, he's in the middle of making a turn right now.
From the Puget Sound Pilots Headquarters in downtown Seattle with a view of Puget Sound, Captain Ivan Carlson walks me through an unfolding situation. A cargo ship loses power and a pilot is turning the boat around to safely dock. Carlson has been a maritime pilot for nearly 2 decades, but it's a position that many people outside of the mariner world don't know exists.
They're high-level maritime professionals who have received very specialized training.
What that means is whenever a ship from overseas navigates towards a port, a maritime pilot specially trained to know the ins and outs of that specific waterway meets the ship, hops on board, and navigates the vessel safely to its end destination. This includes foreign container ships, cargo ships, cruise ships, even some yachts. The pilot knows every jetty, every lighthouse, every obstacle in their local waterway and helps maneuver the large vessel around all of it.
Any little thing can go wrong and you have to be able to act very quickly.
Training to be a pilot is a long, difficult process. Sea captains with years of experience under their belt already need to pass a test, then undergo hundreds of training trips. It can take 18 to 24 months to finish training, and that's not guaranteed.
About 60% of the people that take the exam, somewhere in there, actually pass the exam.
To get on the boat, pilots strap on a helmet and climb a ladder onto the side of the ship while it's still moving.
We've had a pilot ladder break in 2 while a pilot was on it. So that's a dangerous part of the job.
Dangerous, but for some people who love the water, it can be a rewarding way to earn a good paycheck. Vanessa Mashani, Scripps News, Seattle.
As we reflect on the bridge collapse, people are feeling the effects near and far. WMAR-2 News' Ashley McDowell takes us to Fort Smallwood Park to see how the community on that side of the water is dealing with the obstacles of no longer having the Key Bridge.
Like I said, I have family members over there. I got friends that live over there, and we use that. Sometimes we don't want to go through the tunnel because we have a phobia from being in a tunnel, but now you got a phobia crossing the bridges.
It's not an ideal feeling to have when it's how to travel to those close to you. Sean Conyers lives in Hillthorpe and now must find another route to see family and friends. He's not alone. It's a strain many others have that relied on the Key Bridge for work.
We got customers on the other side of the bridge we can't get to.
Stephen Lloyd lives on the west side of the former Key Bridge. Not only is this hurting business, but also tugging at his emotions.
Not to mention the pain I feel in my heart from seeing it, because I grew up, that bridge has always been there.
A plumber making service calls is key, but now he's limited on the areas he can cover.
For now, at like the service company I work for, we can't get to Dundalk, we can't get to Essex. Fort Armstead's closed, so we just kind of can't make our service calls like we need to.
While getting to customers is a big problem, getting customers to the businesses is another.
It's very slow business, very slow. Maybe the 1-2 customer is coming, no more.
A garage that usually is busy now sits spare with only one car. Mechanic Tusaf Ahmed says it's been the outcome over the past couple of days.
Active day with showers sticking around. We have two fronts, one stuck, a stationary front, bringing in all the rain, and then another round of cooler, drier air. That'll be here Friday. That's why we'll get a break from the showers, but sticking with us through Thursday, and then adding some wind into the mix. Rain gauges so far have been around half an inch, just under it, a quarter inch in Bel Air, just over that, and then just shy of 9/10 at the Inner Harbor. So it's been a steady rain, not necessarily a soaker. Numbers aren't staggering, certainly manageable, but just on and off, if not steady in some spots, through the morning, afternoon, and continuing this evening. Readings in the 40s. It's a chilly rain for March. Temperatures running a little bit cooler. So we head into tomorrow, adding some wind into the mix as well. Our wind gusts today were about 10 miles per hour. So just some perspective, doubling that into Thursday. Gusts in the mid-20s, even close to 30 by the time we get to the evening and overnight hours. It's going to be windy as this system gets out of here. We've seen that pattern before. We get the rain, clearing skies, and then stronger wind. Let's time out the showers here tonight. Futurecast at 10 p.m. has got light showers still sticking around, on and off overnight, and filling back in Thursday morning. There's a cutoff here, divided right down 95. As you go farther west, a better chance to stay dry. East of that, rain fills back in. I think by midday, a good shot of showers for most, and then into the afternoon. O's opener at 3:05 p.m. first pitch. Rain is really close, and we're talking light showers, a lot like what we saw early this morning before the heavier rain works its way in. If we can get this system to slide a little bit farther east, we'll be in better shape, but for now, lingering rain in place through Thursday. That's highs in the 50s. Friday dries out, back to some sunshine, temperatures near 60, and wind gusts sticking with us. The weekend, mid-60s Saturday, Easter Sunday near 70. Looking dry for now. Not so much next week. Getting active again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Sticking with showers. Kelly?
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. A boom, a rattle, and a shake. That's how people who live in the Turner Station neighborhood in Dundalk describe what they heard and felt around 1:30 Tuesday morning when the Key Bridge collapsed. WMAR-2 News' Maria Morales spoke to a couple of residents who heard the bridge fall.
It was just like crunching, twisting. That part I could hear really well. I had no idea it was the actual bridge.
Veronica McCullough was laying in bed when she heard a lot of noise. At first, she says, she thought it was bad weather and that the high winds had blown down a tree.
I heard something like it was crumbling and hitting against things.
McCullough's home sits in the 700 block of New Pittsburgh Street, about 500 feet from the foot of the bridge. Her daughter and grandson live a few streets over, and they heard the collapse too.
It was a boom and a vibration, and it actually set my dogs off, so that's actually why I woke up.
Damon Bradford is the fourth generation of his family to live in Turner Station, and his home is about a 7-minute walk from the bridge, he says. The Key Bridge has been there his entire life.
It's actually crazy to me because I never thought that bridge would fall, but things happen, I guess.
Bradford says his uncle, who lives in the home with McCullough and served in the army in Afghanistan, also heard it. So when he heard it, he thought
it was a bomb. Yes, ma'am. And then he went to go look, and he actually called my mother. He told my mother that the Key Bridge went down.
McCullough's lived here 60 years and watched them building the Key Bridge. She says it was divine intervention that the bridge came down when it did. Overnight, off-season, with little traffic.
I feel that it could have been worse if it had been rush hour time or later in the season when people would be going to the beach and all that. I think God intervened.
In Turner Station, Maria Morales, WMAR-2 News.
All right, before we leave you tonight, a last check at the forecast. Tomorrow is opening day.
Yeah, showers still sticking with us. The system's stubborn. It's been raining all morning to the afternoon, and that spills over into tomorrow. Winds were relatively calm today. They'll pick up tomorrow, so breezy conditions. Windy Friday. Looking to the weekend, mid to upper 60s. That's Easter Sunday at 68 degrees. Warmest of the week. Our next system's early next week. Active again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sticking with some showers. So
April showers in March.
we're getting in there. Yeah, we've gotten quite a lot of rain this month.
All right, that is it for us. We're going to continue our coverage of the Key Bridge coming up at 11. And at 8 o'clock, we're going to hear from the NTSB on the latest in their investigation.